So Rob, this is you've been busy. We got the gym opening. We have some form of launch of ebooks I see that are spying around there. So before we go into our topic, tell us a little bit about you helping people essentially with their sex lives and get bigger dicks. That's what you're doing, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you can't get bigger, at least it will be stiffer and last longer and shoot just giant explosions of love juice all over your missus or your fella, whichever one.
Is it? Are you when you go on board? Are you like Austin Powers with a Swedish-made penis enlarger? It's not mine. It's not my bag, baby.
Yeah, I want to try everything once, and maybe the day that I order one, just to see. Yeah,
Can't get any smaller.
And anyone who's not too sure, well, exactly. And how big does it really need to be? But for those who aren't sure, some of our earlier episodes, including a previous podcast incarnation as Rockstar, we learned a few of the odd things that I'm into that I want to try at least once in my lifestyle. And yeah, maybe just to get because I don't know what a Swedish penis enlarger feels like. So I kind of want to know.
What did we go into? And that's a long blast from the past, right? Just like what are some of the things that you want to try once in your life?
Well, this is the thing. I'm trying most of them now, right? So we've done no fap for an extended period of time before you realise it doesn't actually really do anything for you. But it doesn't mean I started fapping again. We do coconut oil on the balls. I'm learning about iodine on the balls, actually. This is a topic we'll touch on another day. Iodine.
Does it have a better link to thyroid health if you put it on your balls?
Apparently testicular health and potentially therefore testosterone. We will see. Anyone who's listening to this before I've actually come out with what is involved, don't just buy a bottle of iodine and splash it all over your balls. You might lose your balls. Let's not do that.
If people are doing that from your recommendations are probably the people that drank bleach to get rid of COVID. So,
Exactly. So I can't take full responsibility for everyone. I'll try and take responsibility for some. But don't splash iodine on your balls yet, gents. We did coconut oil on the balls. Prostate massager. That was weird to get used to. That was weird. I discovered I should have bought.
You did it yourself? You self-administered?
Yeah, got the old toy, whatever you call it. Up it went. Took a while to get in.
And the benefit of that is what?
Well, I don't know yet.
It wasn't even for a benefit. You just wanted to know how it felt.
Just wanted to know what this thing felt like up my ass. And now I know. But apparently for the prostate benefits, apparently the vibrating ones work better. And mine wasn't. I just sat there like, what have I done? Like, what am I doing with my life? Jesus is watching. Come on, Rob, this isn't you. So there's more to come. There's more mad, crazy fucking.
Is there anything that you want to do on your bucket list that isn't related around your groin area?
There's places I want to visit. Whether something happens with my groin in those countries.
I want to make $100,000 a year. I want to travel to more parts of Asia, including Japan. Yeah. Prostate massages were never a thing that approached in my wheelhouse, but maybe I'm just too narrow-minded.
So as a quick caveat, for anyone that just thinks maybe I just want to shove stuff up my arse, or maybe I'm a closet homosexual, who knows? But the thing that piqued my interest was reading about the stimulation of the vagus nerve from the prostate, whilst in meditative states, could apparently lead to altered realms of consciousness. I didn't experience that at all, but I only tried it once.
I would argue, is it possible to get into a meditative state with someone up your arse?
Well, this is a weird thing. When it was in there, I was like, oh okay. Like, I don't know if you ever remember, what was the film? It was called Road Trip. Like,
I remember Road Trip. Yeah, I remember.
I can't remember the actor's name, but the guy who plays Stifler is in it.
Sean William Scott,
and he gets a very aggressive prostate massage, and is meant to be the most amazing, mind-blowing sensation ever. And since that film, you always wonder, I wonder, is that actually the case? And I didn't experience anything like that at all. It was just in there, and then I'm like, what do I do now? Try to meditate, and then got bored.
Yeah, the reason why I watched that film and never wondered that It's because I watched it. I watched whilst I was in university, but it's after this moment. And we were doing our dissertation. You might have heard the story, but a lot of the listeners won't. I was doing my dissertation, and without changing the tone too much from prostate massages to morbidity, my uncle passed away in the second year of uni, and because of that, I had a extension on the exam part of my dissertation. So by that point, well, that was nice of them to give me an extension. The problem with that was that now we are the only people that were willing to do the study were the people that were staying over Easter that also had extensions,
right?
Because everyone else had gone home.
Yeah.
So we were all doing favors, like, I'll do your study if you do mine. So I did a few of these things. And for people that are wondering, my study was on the effects of creatine monohydrate on intermittent sports activities. There's a lot of talk about weightlifting, there's a lot of talk about sprinting, but nothing on like, is creatine monohydrate beneficial for football or rugby or whatever, right? So we did Wingate sprints, like 10 seconds on, 6 seconds off, 10 times. Control group put placebo, other group took creatine monohydrate, went back for a week, switched. So this other one I did was the effects of a carbohydrate mouth rinse on exercise to exhaustion in the heat. So I go in there and there's this big exercise chamber that's basically like puts you up to Sahara desert levels of horrendousness. And I'm cycling steady state, but to exhaustion. And the only thing I get to drink is every 50 minutes I get a mouthwash, a carbohydrate mouthwash. So it wasn't pleasant. I go, what are you measuring? Other than like, we're measuring blood glucose. I'm like, okay, that makes sense, right? So finger prick every 15 minutes. Just add a 15-minute injection to this, and it's already great. And they go, and core body temperature. And I just go, and how are you measuring that? And out comes this thermometer. So I'm on this uncomfortable seat on this watt bike, with a thermometer up my arse, hanging out my arse, getting injection for 50 minutes, was having a mouthwash. It's the moment where I realised that I will never be gay, because that is a lot smaller than a human, and I wasn't for it whatsoever. No offense to anybody is, by the way, that's your choice. It just God, like I salute you. I absolutely salute you. But it's not for me.
It took a while to whether this was mental or whether it was physical, I don't know. But it took a while to go in. And then when it started to move, then boom, it was in. Like almost like I had no control. I was like, whoa. That if that didn't have the tail on the end, that could have been bad. And when I say tail, I mean not a fox. I mean,
you're the guy ends up in the hospital, happy to try and say with the story. It's like, so how did you get a Coke bottle up your ass? Well, I fell off out the window, but for some reason the Coke bottle had a condom attached. That sort of stuff, right?
See, I would be brutally honest. I'd just say, trying to stimulate my vagus nerve anally to see if I could reach all good states of consciousness. And at least you're going to get fun conversation with the nurses and the doctors, whose precious time you're wasting because you drop something in your ass.
So now we've got into bucket list moments, let's say. Yeah. Let's go on to the aim of the topic of the podcast, because you wanted to talk about superstition, which I think is a really interesting topic, and having something that's maybe a little bit off topic. We haven't done an off topic episode for a while, and it might somewhat be relevant. But also people do superstitions to stay alive. So if you can stay alive long enough because of your superstitions to be able to put something in your prostate, then it's been successful, right? So run through for the listeners why you wanted to talk about superstitious activities today.
So it was a random conversation that came up a couple of times this week, based on the topic of superstition and based on a client saying something that they did on the regular, and I was like, "Are you like quite superstitious?" And it got me thinking about, okay, there's the common superstitions that we know about. Don't walk under ladders, knock on wood, things like that. Don't walk in front of a black cat, and all these other things. These popular, almost paranormal type superstitions. And I thought to myself, do I have any? And I don't really have any, but I did have superstitious rituals based on the sports I was competing in, even my training sessions. I don't quite have them now. But I do wonder, I reckon this will be a common theme amongst people that are listening, down to the simplest thing. Like I told you a couple of mine before we got on, down to the simplest thing. I reckon there's people, and I reckon we see it more in gym culture now than we're actually aware of, because we keep a lot of these superstitions to ourselves. We don't let other people know, because
Yeah.
that's when
Brave
people go, "What?"
listening to this. If you're listening to this on YouTube or watching us on YouTube, or if you're listening to us on podcast, pause it, go off the podcast, go onto YouTube, search Simon Kingsley Dutton, subscribe, and then comment what your weirdest superstition is. I will read every single one of them. I'm intrigued about what people come to this stage. But you're right. It's an interesting thing, because it's like the way I always think about it as well, like having a wife now, that's still weird to say, a wife that has OCD. Like, people think it's a superstition, it's just this weird thing you do. I can't walk by a black cat. Oh, I don't know, walk over 3 drains and your mum dies, or something, whatever it was, right? Isn't that the thing? Like walk over your mother's grave or something like that. But when you're with somebody that has these things so deep rooted, it's like, where's the nature to nurture line between superstitions? Where's it just become a thing that you've just got into the habit of doing, that's learnt? Because like Ellie will do rituals. She'll see someone on telly, and I'll never know what it is. She won't tell me what these things are, but she'll see something like the example. And this isn't one of hers, but this example she once gave me, which made me understand, was that she'll see a plane crash on TV, and she feels like she has to do a ritual to make sure that is not her fault, that something's not going to happen to someone else. You know, and she'll salute magpies. And, you know, if you say the C word, not cancer, not cunt, she'll have to do a ritual every single time. And like,
wow,
that is superstitions to a 8th degree.
Yeah, of course.
So like, it's interesting where, like, because I think everyone will have a line on this. So you mentioned of like, what are the ones that you've had? Let's talk about ours first, and then we can talk about some of the ones we see in training. What are the ones that you've had in your lifetime?
So I had, very early in my athletic career, I noticed, it must have been based on conversation with other people, and then maybe I noticed whether I was doing it myself or not. But I had to put my left spike on first. If I put my right spike on first, I already told myself I've lost the race. I have to put the left one on first. Even so far as left sock as well. Now that's just habitual behaviour, right? But in my mind, in a very small percentage of my mind, that's going, this is going to dictate whether you win the race or not, which is obviously stupid.
Do you remember when that started and why?
I must have read or listened to or saw maybe an athlete of that era, like we're going way back, we're going 90s. Maybe an athlete of that era had said something similar to that effect in an online interview, in a TV interview, sorry. And I considered whether I do that or not. It definitely didn't just come out of, I don't think I noticed that races I was winning, I just so happened to be putting my left spike on first. Because how would I even remember? It must have been an outside influence first for me to even consider checking. And it turns out, and I've got a list here for later on, there's a lot of superstitious athletes out there. A lot. And, and it then became a thing where when I came to setting off on the blocks, setting up backwards from the start line into the blocks as soon as they say on your marks, I can't remember, we're going back over 20 years now. So I can't remember the exact foot pattern that I had. If I didn't get it right, it's like my legs would go, no, go back to the line, do it again. So they didn't really mind how long you took to get down as long as you didn't take the piss. Like, I'd rush to do, take 2, sometimes even take 3, because it didn't feel right. And I was like, I'm going to have a terrible start because of this. Even though I'm in the blocks, as long as I'm set up in the blocks, it's fine. There's no difference in how I get down to it.
But that's one, not jumping ahead, but that's one I think people have in training all the time. Like, I think sometimes proper strength coaches, like powerlifting coaches, strongman coaches, and maybe I'll ask Tom Hibbert about this tomorrow, but I think sometimes people confuse superstition with technique. Because how many strength coaches talk about you must have 2 steps out the rack? And realistically, I could take 46 steps out the rack. And And while yes, you do open yourself more margin of error. The more steps you take, the more you can put yourself off, rather than having a clear, this is the 1-2 path. I get it. But it's almost a religiousness to it. Like, you see a squat that looks perfect, you go, but you didn't take 2 steps out the block and out the rack. And I'm like, did it matter? The squat looked good, felt good, hit a PB. Yeah, but the setup was poor. And I'm like, is that a technique thing? Because every bit of research I've seen says no. So it makes me think, is it just a superstition that this is the way it needs to be done? Because this is how I've hit the best lifts.
I think we get very addicted to routine, numbers, and just like, I think there is some sort of, I could be talking complete bollocks here, but I think there is some sort of muscle memory, not in terms of how we understand it, but in terms of, right, I hit a PB on my squat. Let's say I hit a PB 5 reps or something like that. And I can just remember how I grabbed the bar, how I came out of the rack, the speed I went on the way down, how the bottom position felt, all these different things, which again is just ingrained in technique. Of course it is. But I think we have this, whether there is any truth in this or not, but I think there is some sort of memory that the next time we come to do that, if we do it differently, like the body's learned how that felt, if we do it differently, there'll be a different sensation. And that could either be a better squat day or a worse squat day. And we start going, well, I squatted this last week. How comes I can't do it this week? And rather than look at the actual influences of maybe I ain't slept, maybe I ain't eaten right, maybe I ain't stretched properly, or maybe I ain't warmed up right, all these different things, we'll look for, well, maybe it's because I walked into the rack this way instead of doing. People have their favourite benches, people have their favourite racks. Like it is really, it just comes down to superstitious behaviour. Because it doesn't matter what bench you're on. It doesn't matter what rack you're on. It doesn't matter. People have their favourite bars. Now there's merit to whether you use, Texas bar, power bar, whatever. But there's people that have their favourite bars that there's no real need.
There's a grip. It's the knurling on the bar, right? Like that I feel that is slightly different. But at the same time, it's like maybe it's because I just learned the maths this way. No lift will feel good with a bar that's less than 20 kilos. So sure. I did once today. I went to a gym in Womburn, Heath's gym. I'm officially calling you out. You have a downstairs heavy lifting area, right? This is what they call it. It's like for people who want to do powerlifting and things like this. That was the area, right? Okay. Squat racks don't have pins. There isn't clips, and the bars are there's no heel lifts. And the bars are all under 20 kilos.
Jeez.
Nothing felt right. Nothing. I put the same amount of weight on it.
Yeah.
But those 15-kilo bars just did me in.
Not right at all. It's mad. And it even came back to, just going back to like what I've seen in my time. With my Olympic lifting, I don't think I had any. But I noticed in competition and through coaching athletes, there were plenty. Not necessarily to do with the split second of when that bar has left the floor. Because to be honest, split second later it's above your head or you're underneath it, one of the two. But how people approached the bar, what people did in their warm-up area, what they were listening to, how they were moving, how they were talking. So people had some mad rituals as soon as they got behind the bar, slamming their feet for no fucking reason whatsoever. There's yelps. There's screams.
Is that a nervous system response? Because then there's logic. Like I will stamp, and I wouldn't consider that a superstitious thing. I would consider that I'm firing myself up in the same way that I wouldn't consider the music that I'm playing a superstitious thing. I would just say if I'm listening to Stricken by Disturbed or Rammstein, the bar's going to go up. If I'm listening to David Guetta, no offense, David, the bar ain't going to go up. I don't think that's a superstition thing. I think that's I don't like shit music thing.
But I'll go back to saying it's a superstitious element there. So when we're saying superstitious, I'm not saying anything paranormal. I'm not saying if you do one thing that it's going to be a negative result, even though that's kind of it. But what a superstition is, it's a false belief, a false sense of having control over external conditions that we don't actually have. So we've talked about this before, people with an external and an internal locus of control. People with an internal locus of control believe they're the ones that are in charge of their decisions, their reality, the effects of their decisions. It's all on them. People with an external locus of control are quicker to blame other people, other conditions, environments. And I think the superstition's been shown more so in people with an external locus of control. So we're not saying anything paranormal's going on or anything like that, but it kind of, again, like crosses the line of what's superstition and what's just routine and ritual, and where is that line you go from one to the other? Because like you say, a slam of your feet could wake your nervous system up, but when you talk to some of these people about why they're doing it, there was odd reasons. Jacks my heart rate up. What, one slam on the floor jacks your heart rate up before you want to be calm as a fucking mouse before you lift that bar up, thinking about where your positions are and things like that. And again, like yelps and noises and things like that. And I honestly believe a lot of the gym uniforms we're seeing people wearing now come down to some sort of superstitious belief.
So, like, what things are you referring to in gym uniforms? Because I can come up with a few of these, I think.
One, how their bag is packed, how their built for athletes bag is packed. How, and people will say, "Oh, it's just my OCD." It's not OCD, bruv. It's just a bag pack.
Or that. I will happily get on a rant about. I hate that.
I will happily put them on the phone too.
Yeah, like we'll like we spoke about it earlier on. Some of the things that Ellie does, and then when someone just likes a tidy like desk, I'm like,
yeah,
go fuck yourself. Like it's not the same. I see people go, "Oh yeah, I've got clinical OCD." Clinical diagnosed OCD, and all you've said is like, "Oh, I like to make sure the washing up's done." No. You're a prick. Like, you have not a fucking clue what OCD is.
Oh,
you really have really. I hate it. I hate it so much.
God.
You have no idea. It's like when people go, "Yeah, I have ADHD." Well, what do you mean by that? I can't. I'm a bit distracted.
Yeah.
You know,
it's
like I have depression. I'm a bit sad this afternoon. Like, no one would say that. But the OCD thing is so used. Oh, I'm a little bit bipolar. I'm a little bit bipolar. Why? Because I was sad this morning. I'm happy this afternoon. Like, you wouldn't say it. So, I'm sorry. I'm going off.
The sad thing is, there's people out there flipping saying it. It's the saddest thing. Like, there's people full on believing that.
But you do get it. You do get it with like, I think like two strap versus one strap bags.
Yeah.
You'll get people wearing certain shoes. Like in that sometimes it's the new shoes. I get new shoes. I feel like my lift's going to go up. Is it? Is it? I bought some like new Metcons. I all of a sudden was like, it's the most I've wanted to squat in a year. You know, and like I see things like that. I see making sure people have the right clothes. I've seen loads of different things like this where the weirdest, like not the weirdest one now, but the one that's I think is more common is HRV. Because now people take HRV on their Oura Ring or their Whoop Band, and now they let that element of I'm in control of my health dictate how they feel going to the session. I've seen people with poor HRVs hit PBs, and I've seen people with amazing HRVs fall to bits. But I've generally had people going, "Sorry, my watch says I can't train today," and I'm like, "Get under the bar." What are you doing?
That's ridiculous. I'll never forget one of the days my athletic team, our coach was stuck in severe traffic. 100 meters was always our first event, and there was 4 of us running in it. And once we got off the coach, we had about 10 minutes before our event was due to start, like as in your race is about to go onto the track. So 10 minutes to warm up. Well, we've still got to get there. We've got to drop our stuff off. We've got to register. We've got to find out exactly what lane we're in. She had like 5 minutes. So there's no warm-up. You just run. On the day, all of us ran amazingly. And we joked, okay, no more warming up from now on, which was obviously a bad mistake that we learned the hard way, some of us. But you would watch people in their own little worlds doing their warm-up routine. Some people wouldn't let you talk to them. Like, and I get it. Like, you want to be focused. You don't want anyone to disturb your zone, your mojo that you're in at the moment. But it's amateur athletics, bruv. Come on, you're not fucking Linford Christie. Let's calm it down a little bit. But then, like, you learn, well, top athletes do have this superstitious behaviour at the same time. And you can't say this comes back to the people saying they've got OCD and things like that. And when
you
you
can have
call
a
them out,
purple superstition color. I forgot to put it on.
I like that. Like Prince. Like Prince was superstitious. But like these crazy false beliefs that we have. And when I say crazy false beliefs, I mean beliefs that have zero basis in fact whatsoever. Because what you think might happen the other side has never actually happened. So there's no actual hard evidence whatsoever. But people's beliefs are more likely to be reinforced by positive or negative reactions than they are by hard evidence. So even if someone's going, I've got OCD, just because, like say, they want things to be a little bit tidy, and someone says to them, that's fucking ridiculous, it's more likely to reinforce it than the fact that there's no clinical evidence they've got OCD. Or a positive reinforcement by someone going, oh, yeah, I've got that too. Yeah, we're so OCD, aren't we?
Well, yeah, exactly. And you also see people, like if I read your horoscope, you would find ways to think it was true. In the same way that when people go, like I bet when before you got an ADHD diagnosis, there was an element for you that was sort of like I find other things that go, oh, I've got that, and I've got that, and I've got that, and I've got that. And you'll find things that's confirmation bias, the ADHD diagnosis, before the ADHD diagnosis came in. And this is why I think so many people now have ADHD, because they think I'm a little bit forgetful, because my nutrition's crap and my sleep's poor, and then assume they've got a diagnosis because it's the done thing. And I think that's where a lot of these superstitions come from, is that they'll do something, they'll get either a positive reinforcement that has nothing to do with that thing, but they'll link it to, well, I put my left sock on first. When there's no logic to it at all.
There's no logic. That's the thing. There's zero logic to it. It's emotional behaviour, which we know is not the best way to do it. And it's anxiety-based behaviour when you think about it. Because it's a false belief that something is going to go wrong, that there's a negative thing about to happen. Anxiety is fear of an unknown future. It's anxiety-based behaviour, which must cause some neurotransmitter imbalance, which will then be reinforced again and again and again before, like left shoe had to go on every single time. Now I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck what shoe. I don't even realise what shoe goes on first. Doesn't make a difference to me anymore.
Do you think sometimes, like, superstitious, like, I never consider myself superstitious. Like, I'm never a person that wouldn't walk under a ladder or worry of a broken mirror. Or I still did these things. And I wonder if I didn't do these things because it's like, well, it's not that I think things will go better or worse if I do them. But now I am doing them. I don't want to take the risk. So I used to, always wear, underneath my sports socks playing rugby, I always used to wear odd socks. Always. And that was a little bit close to a proper superstition, because I felt that I played better when I had odd socks on, for whatever reason.
Sure.
The other one was when we coming out of changing rooms, especially in home games, that always touched the badge above the door. And that's always a very common one, isn't it? As you're coming out of the changing room, you'll hit the emblem. Yeah. And then that's what I did every home game. And we had a really good home record. It has nothing to do with the badge. But I did it every game without fail.
Yeah. It's the same with teams having lucky mascots. If you want to, more so an American thing than here. If you want to, get the edge over your team, you steal their mascot the week before the big event. I mean, maybe that's just the subject of corny teen American movies. I don't know whether that actually happens or not. But probably does, right?
I don't know if it ever really happens, but it happens in every TV show, isn't it? It's always stealing a pig.
We're stealing a mascot.
It's never a mascot. It's never a man in an outfit, is it? Like, mascot's never like a big inflatable bunny. It's literally a real pig. It's nearly always a pig, isn't it? I don't understand why it's a pig, but it's a pig.
Mad. It's absolutely mad.
But you mentioned athletes having them. You said you have a few. So, like, what is it you found that athletes do?
So let's do this bit, and then we'll go back to where these superstitions originate from. Because you mentioned walking under the ladder and not wanting to take a chance. Like, I looked a little bit deeper into this because I was just intrigued, and the answer was boring as fuck at first, but then became fascinating and so far down my rabbit hole I couldn't escape. Have a guess what the most superstitious sport in the world is. This is documented. The athletes in this sport hold the most number of superstitions. Some athletes holding several themselves. I never would have guessed it.
So, okay. Are we talking a individual sport, or are we like athletics? Does that count?
A team sport.
Okay.
A popular team sport.
Ooh, so it's not golf. I was going to go for golf. Okay.
We know Tiger Woods has. We know Tiger Woods has got superstitions.
Yeah, like he has to sleep with someone's wife before he goes on onto the tour. Sorry, don't sue me, Tiger Woods. You are the greatest of all time. Absolute joke, like unbelievable. But I tell you what, like I bet if someone's dad had a superstition, it was Tiger Woods' dad, right? Like you've heard the story of Tiger Woods' father, right? Like I don't know whether I consider this really good parenting or child abuse in the sense that he goes, like because he was hard on him, but he always had an out, right? Like it was never a abusive thing. Like Tiger had the opportunity, he could have gone, don't want to do this anymore, Dad, and he never did it.
Yeah,
never did it. Like the guy is, that's unbelievable. But is it football?
Give me helping hand. It's an American sport, of course.
It's baseball, isn't it?
Baseball.
Of course, it's baseball. Yeah. I would have guessed that actually. Now I think of it.
But we have some people. Some are baseballers. Is that what you call them? Baseballers? I don't know. That doesn't sound right, but I'm using it.
I don't care. Backers on mitt catchers. Sorry, American fans. We do have listeners in America, and I'm very sorry that it is your pastime. But on the other side of the coin, it's rounders, isn't it?
It's rounders. It's 100% rounders.
It's rounders
with better music, costumes, and rules.
But longer rounders. Right, rounders are hard enough to watch as it is. It's longer. Like I and before any Americans, like because I know what Americans are going to say. You guys have cricket. And I'm like, yeah, I agree. That's boring too. You know, like, test match cricket. Oh my God.
Yeah. I can faithfully hold my hand up and say I've never watched an entire cricket game ever in my life.
It's like playing a game of Monopoly. That's forever.
I don't know how anyone. I had this conversation with a friend the other day about you and I should be able to remember the era where cricket did not have alcohol louts, typical football, rugby fans at cricket games. And then came this era where suddenly it was a different breed of cricketer, younger, Flintoff. Suddenly alcohol was at the World Cup. Suddenly, it's a very different breed. I
bet it coincided with 2020, right? Because it's now a day out.
Yeah.
So tell me some of the superstition in baseball.
So what I'll do is, because they're right down the bottom of my list, this is a popular one. Most people might know this one already. Do you know what Michael Jordan's one was?
No, I don't know.
I don't know if this is I'm assuming this isn't in the film about him that came out recently, because I guess that's more about the shoes, right? Oh, God. So he would always wear the same pair of shorts that he got when he was playing in university. Every single time.
Is this superstition? Or as if he does this, he realises how badly they're going to stink and everyone gets out of the way so he can have a clear run to the net?
Maybe. And he also inspired a trend in the NBA of longer shorts, because what he would do is wear longer shorts over his lucky shorts that were underneath. And that inspired the trend of longer shorts in the NBA. All because of superstition.
That's so interesting.
It's mad, right? It's fucking mad.
Really interesting.
I was like, whoa. Oh,
everyone has longer shorts now, to the point where like people wear like the basketball jersey and long shorts in regular attire. Like and shout out to Lloyd Stevens, who I used to work with, South African PT. We used to work with the UP, and he used to wear long basketball shorts all the time.
Mate, I've got my Under Armour ones I've got on now go below the knee. Like, it's so common. Everyone's wearing them more than short shorts. Bjorn Borg, the tennis.
Yeah, I knew he was superstitious. I don't know what it was, but
So he would always wear the same, again, similar thing. He'd wear the same shirt every single time. He was the originator of the lucky beard. So he would always make sure his beard was grown for competition and wear the same shirt. Apparently, this then became a popular superstition that was adopted by NFL, NHL, a lucky beard. You grow a beard for competition because it's lucky.
Can you imagine this? Imagine you were superstitious and you couldn't grow a beard well. You were like, I'm doomed.
There must be some poor younger guys over there.
Oh, I know.
Imagine that.
Lucky beard. That's really
because these tennis champs are getting younger and younger. You know?
Yeah.
Well, not everyone obviously wants.
Does that mean? Does that? Oh god, there's a couple of jokes in this. Like I was about to say, does that mean the women are always going to be really rubbish at tennis? And then I stopped and I thought, well, women can be allowed beards now in women's sport. Maybe that's where it's come from. People are now looking at women's tennis and going, man, these ones with beards are always the best. It must be the beard.
It's the lucky beard. That could
it's lucky beard. The women with the lucky cocks, they're the ones.
Be lucky pews next. Mate, imagine. Mate, we're going to see this in, potentially every single sport all over the world if the world loses its mind. But hopefully that won't happen.
Lost its mind a long time ago, mate. World's lost its mind a long time ago.
Yeah.
We have 7 magical wizards in Snow, Colombia. And like the world lost its mind a long time ago.
Yeah, very, very flipping true. There's a guy, I didn't know who this was. Again, here we are, our first baseball player, athlete, whatever. A guy called Kevin Romberg. I thought this one was quite interesting. So he had an unusual quirk of a compulsion to touch someone if they touched him first, to the point where other teams, knowing they were playing against Cleveland, which was his team, would mess with him. They would run up, touch him, and then run away. And he'd be in a complete panic that he couldn't touch him back, including a game between New York and Cleveland, which had to be halted because Yankee players refused to stop touching him. Oh, it's so funny.
It's brilliant, though, right?
Yeah, he had to touch him back. Otherwise, maybe there's an element of OCD in that one. Maybe.
Yes, it might be a genuine struggle. So apologies for laughing if it is a genuine trouble. That is like, but that is really is like, it's amazing how deep some of these things go, right? Like, do you think an element of this? And I think you were saying earlier on that there's you looked into why these superstitions occurred, but do you think there's an element of imposter syndrome in this? Like, you've become the best at something, right? And like, you know the term imposter adaptation? You probably do because Chris Williamson talks about it a lot, right? That you when you have imposter syndrome, despite the fact that you have a stack of undeniable evidence that you're as good as you say you are, that becomes imposter adaptation rather than imposter syndrome. So if someone has imposter adaptation where they get picked for one of the best teams in the world at their sport, then maybe they got they hit a number of home runs in basketball, like score a number of tries in rugby, and they can't admit that it's them. They can't admit that they're just good because they have this imposter adaptation that they now associate the thing that's allowing them to do well. It isn't talent, isn't hard work. It's I have to touch Jane over there or Steve or Billy Bob. I have to put a sock on that way. But pro wrestling's is bad, right? Like pro wrestling's a big one. Like they a lot of people, and this is more for the respect of the sport. But for a while, you had to shake everyone's hands coming in, and you have to wipe your feet on the apron. That's a big one. So if you ever watch particularly William Regal, you always saw William Regal, and you'll notice it. You'll watch it now. People will wipe their feet when they come before they come into the ring.
Man, this is mad. It's mad. We've got our first tennis player who doesn't have a lucky beard. This is Serena. I knew of one of these before. So she has a load of quirks, which include
the
bringing
greatest
her
tennis player to ever live, by the way, in my opinion.
Ooh. Intriguing.
Including the lies. I think it just like I saw the interview with her when she went like, "Would you play Andy Murray?" And she's like, "No, because I get destroyed." I thought, "Oh, that's a wonderful level of humility and understanding."
Yeah.
But in relation to her own bracket, her own gender, she is the greatest player that's ever. She's amazing. Like she's just head and shoulders above the rate, like literally as well, because she's a monster. But like, head and shoulders above the female competition.
She's like you could look at her like the titan of tennis, right? She was not only brutal, but she inspired fear in her opponents, no matter who it was. You just felt it through the TV screen.
I saw an interview with Butterbean the other day who said he could knock out Tyson.
He's lost up like that guy. Poor geezer.
He never got knocked out though. He's unbelievable. He's guy. Good. I don't think he'd knock out Tyson, but he might. He's bigger than him.
It's true.
So Serena Williams' Superstition. Let's go back to this.
Serena would bring her shower sandals to the court with her. She would tie her shoelaces a specific way, without the detail of what that way is. And this one I found interesting. She'll bounce the ball 5 times before her first serve and twice before her second. Every single time. She also wears the same pair of socks during a tournament, which is obviously a common one that we're seeing. But she's actually chalked up major losses, not to the other opponent being better than her, but to not following her routine of shower sandals, shoelaces, bounce the ball 5 times, bounce the ball twice. She's chalked up losses to that. Not the other.
Is there an element of arrogance about that, though? Like, does she truly believe that, or she's like, they didn't beat me, I beat myself?
Yeah. Considering it masters of the media game as well, it's a bit, I don't know about that one. But I thought that was interesting about the ball, because I reckon that one's probably very common amongst tennis players. I think that links back to my stepping back to the block. Something didn't feel right, so start again quick. Whereas in that 5 bounces of the ball is probably their chance that maybe deep down it is just getting into the zone in some way. You know? I thought it was quite interesting. We've got a few basketball players that wear the shorts of the. This can't be superstition. This just has to be pure ego and bravado.
This is America. It's an American-dominated thing. I'm sure there are lots of British people that. I'm sure there's a lot of British people that are superstitious too. But have you noticed that there's a lot of American sports or American athletes? Obviously, right? Bjorn Borg being the exception.
Yeah.
But they're all of them other than Bjorn were British, right?
Big thing over there. And for what reason? Who knows? Maybe there's something. Maybe there's something in that cultural thing potentially. I didn't know who this guy was. Jason Terry, a basketball player for Dallas Mavericks. So similar things like wearing the same pair of socks, eating chicken before a game, stuff like that. I don't know if that's superstition, but every night he would go to bed before a match wearing the shorts of the next day's opposing team. So
that's interesting.
So I was like, okay,
just
maybe
their mindset.
Yeah, maybe it's a mindset thing, it's an ownership thing, it's a bit of an egotistical thing, but maybe he just wants to walk onto the court knowing that his dick was touching the shorts of the other team. I don't know. Maybe he paid a little bit. Who knows? It's an odd one, I thought, but a different quote, because I hadn't heard of that one before.
Do you think here's one that is also a very common superstition that, despite the books you're now selling, you might be able to tell me this is legitimate or not. How much difference does not having sex before a big game make?
It's a common thing, right? I think deep down what it comes into probably is just the effect on your sleep. Some people will be absolutely knackered and have the best night's sleep of their life. Some people, which would be good for an athlete, right? Some people, that could actually disrupt their sleep. And if you've got a big game, match, tournament the next day, that could screw things for you if your sleep's off. But I think it's more just a focus thing. Like, it's a bit of abstinence to think about what you've got to do tomorrow. That's where all your focus should be, not on banging someone. But again, has it originated from superstition?
it's interesting because people will claim there's elements of aggression, especially for boxing games. But I don't feel. Maybe too much information here, but I don't feel wake up particularly more aggressive if I haven't enjoyed myself the night before compared to when I have.
No.
You know, like I don't wake up just being like, I'm ready to fucking go. So it's like how much difference in your attention does it really do? Like over in that moment, I could provide you with evidence of that. But 8, 9, 10, whatever the hours later before the fight, like does it? I don't know. And I was thinking about rituals. We're talking about this being a mainly American thing, but then I thought rugby kickers,
right?
Like how much of this? Everyone remembers Johnny Wilkinson's hands. Owen Farrell, sort of crazy eyes, who goes before he kicks. No, we see this all the time with people having a certain routine, certain hand gesture, amount of steps to take to the ball, and they're all different. Because you could say it's technique, but you think you could, with the sports scientists that they have in these games now in the professional game, you could probably work out the most optimal amount of steps, the length of the swing you need to hit a rugby ball. Yet everyone has a different routine, which suggests there's an element of superstition here. Because, like for sake of argument, in high jump, you don't get that. Everyone does the Fosbury flop. Like people never used to, and then they realized the Fosbury flop was the best way to do a high jump, and now everyone does it.
Yeah,
and so I'm sure that could be the same in rugby.
It's got to be, right?
There isn't, which means people go, I don't care. I need to do it my way.
I'll be amazed. Probably not amazed. I'd be interested to know what percentage of crowds at rugby matches, football matches, are following superstitious behaviour when they go to the game. Are they wearing the same shirt? Are they trying to sit in the exact same seat with some belief that if they don't, it's going to affect the result of the game in front of them? I think the percentage would be higher than we recognise. Not everyone, obviously.
Other than the sevens, I've noticed one, right? Other than the rugby sevens, because you see 300 games, right?
Okay.
Whenever I've sat in the south stand behind the posts, my team has never lost.
Wow.
In 33 years of watching rugby live, never.
Wow.
I saw Scotland beat Australia behind the south stand. I saw England beat Italy. Well, they always beat Italy behind the south stand. I've seen Wales win in the south stand. I saw Scotland win other games in the south stand. I've seen Premiership games like Bath win in the south stand. And I've seen them win in the other stands too. But I've seen them lose in every other stand. That's maybe my thing. Maybe I always buy tickets to the south stand from now on.
Maybe. I thought this one was quite interesting. A ice hockey player called Patrick Roy.
I don't know Patrick Roy.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know him well enough to tell you his life story. Apart from Mighty Ducks, my knowledge of ice hockey is very, very, very limited. Used to be good, but mainly because of the NHL games. I used to watch as a kid. I used to watch a lot of ice hockey because I was a big fan of the New Jersey Devils.
Okay. That's way beyond me. See, he had before every game. I thought if he's doing this during the game, it's a mental illness. But before every game, he would skate backwards towards the net before turning around at the last second because he believed it made the goal shrink. So some sort of magic spiritual thing. So before every game, he'll skate backwards towards the net and then at the last second, he'll turn towards it because he believed it made the net smaller. Which again, now we're going from superstition to full on.
Yeah, you see goalkeepers in ice hockey have different things on their outfits because obviously they have the big, more padded outfits, so they tend to have like little almost mascotty things on them sometimes. I always think I don't think this is superstitious, but the thing I think it's just because it's rigged, not the sport, but the fights. But like the amount of fights you have, right? What I've never understood is the first thing they do is take off the helmets, and the second thing they do is drop the stick. And if I'm in a fight, I want to have the thing that protects my head stay on, and I want something I can hit. I want a weapon I can hit someone with.
Hell yeah! That's so true. That makes no sense when you put it like that. Yeah. Why do they do that? Oh my God. Oh. And then I'll do one more because this list is long, and some of them, a lot of them seem to involve eating chicken the night before. And I'm like, man, there's good basis for sound athletic nutrition in that. Like, you shouldn't just look at it as a what's name, as a superstition. But a UFC light heavyweight champion, I'm going to butcher his name, Lyoto Machida. Lyoto Machida.
Okay.
Brazilian Shotokan karate master. He drinks his own urine, but he does this on a daily basis. So it's not like he downs a pint before the fight. Like
in the octagon. Somehow.
I wonder he
wins.
wins. No one wants to go near him.
When you're in I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble if this guy's doing this. There's a chance of I ever knocking him out.
Just imagine that. He's on top of you, piss all dribbling out of his mouth on the other. Of course you tap out. Of course you would. But he believes that, kind of old school, that urine is a natural medicine that contains all the antioxidants that you've pissed out, including the toxins that you pissed out, and you put them right back in your body for some stupid fucking reason. It's quite a common thing. But he equates that to why he wins his matches. And at the time of this article being written, which I cannot give you a date, at the time of it being written, he hadn't lost a match, hadn't lost a fight. So, again, we're reinforcing that belief that drinking your own piss is going to make you a world champion, undefeated fighter.
So where do you think these things come from? Like why are people superstitious?
So I looked at... So it comes back to, some people have external locus of control, some people have internal locus of control. Those with the external are more likely to have superstitious beliefs because they're more likely to put the blame or just think the external effect has caused their direction in life, their situation, their environment, whatever it is. There's also an element of, when you look at some of these superstitions, there's not walking under a ladder. There's not stepping on cracks on the pavement. Now, to me, I looked at it as, maybe this comes from a cultural health and safety thing. Like, you don't walk under a ladder because matey could be painting at the top of that ladder and drop his paint, his hammer, whatever. Ladder could be about to collapse. He could be about to fall off. If you're underneath it, you're going to get more messed up than he is. In terms of stepping on a crack, well, that crack could be unbalanced and the pavement could flip and you could trip over and hurt yourself, or water shoots out after a storm, whatever it is. I thought maybe it's more to do with those things. But when you go deeper, it goes back so much further. Not walking under ladders is found in ancient Egypt. And potentially even further. It's found in old Christianity. It's all over the place. It's mad. The ancient Egypts believed that ladders were high enough to reach the gods, and if you walked under a ladder, a god could be coming down, and you're not meant to look at a god or whatever the hell it is. In Christianity, the ladder, the 3 points of the ladder represent, they're a triangle shape. They represent the Trinity, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, and to walk through the middle of it breaks that Trinity. It also goes way, way, way back further in the ancient Egypt. And this is the same with the cracks in the pavement. And some people who have superstitious beliefs about cracks in the mirror, which is a very, very common one, 7 years bad luck. All three of them are linked to beliefs about portals. That triangle is a portal you're going to walk through. That crack is a portal in the mirror in the pavement. So don't step on the portal because you could be transported.
What is the assumption? Because obviously at this point, there was an element of fear of the unknown, I suppose, there. But why is that portal necessarily been considered bad? Because we've talked about parallel dimensions that we these days look at it as like, some people think it could be a bad thing, but it could be a bridge to another better world.
Well, we wouldn't know, would we? It's where do our portals normally lead us to? Well, there's heaven, but there's also hell. There's demon realms, there's spirit realms, there's technically 14 dimensions, I believe, by last count. There could be more. Multiverse theory has been around for a long time. There's a lot of bad places you could end up in. You could end up in the Wild West for Back to the Future 3 instead of the cool future for Back to the Future 2. There's so many bad places you could end up in. Did they ever make a Back to... No, they didn't, did they? Thank God. So, again, like portals go so far back. And obviously we're not going to talk about this now, but this leads massively into UFO culture, abduction culture, ghosts. A lot of things are based around portals. Ouija boards, you're opening a portal. Don't want to open because you don't know what's going to come out the outside. So it literally is the fear of the unknown. You don't know if it's good or bad.
Is there a link, do you think, between people who are superstitious and people who believe in things like ghosts and UFOs? Because I would never consider myself a superstitious person. And while I'm open to the concept of UFOs, if things are out, I believe there are things out there. I think people that think there is zero other intelligent life in the universe or whatever comes after the universe, and the infinite is an idiot because we can't be. But I don't think there's anything close enough for us to ever realize to be near it. I know you necessarily have a slightly different view in that. Would that mean you be more prone to superstitious than me? In the same way that someone who believes in ghosts would be more likely to be superstitious because that could trap you in limbo, or you might end up seeing an evil ghost or get haunted. Whereas I just you break a mirror, it's just a mirror, I'll replace it.
I think it probably is that, right? Maybe that's where a lot of these, ghosts in the woods, don't go into the woods, the spirits live there, the demons live there. Maybe that's where a lot of these things come from, is the people who are more susceptible to false beliefs are the ones that take things a crazier direction, which is then reinforced through positive or negative reaction rather than the actual basis in fact.
Or stories that parents tell the kids. So obviously there was a big superstition on the Slender Man, right?
Of course.
So you were looking at the Slender Man, and that was more a very loose reality of two kids being abducted, basically, and then killing. Well, they didn't abduct anyone. They said they saw the Slender Man. These two kids went mad and killed somebody. I think that, if I remember correctly, I used to know it better than I do now. And they blamed this Slender Man they saw, probably someone that they were going slightly mental. Yeah. And that became a story of not going into the woods because the Slender Man. Yeah. Is there things like this where it's more like these urban legends passed you down, which started off as something a much more graphic, that then became don't step on a crack in the road.
Yeah.
And if you're more prone to believing these stories, you're more likely to be influenced by them.
And then it comes back to me, there is still that element of safety, longevity, and making sure the tribe, the family continues. A kid who goes off into the woods might get lost, might fall down a hole. So that's the real danger, or attacked by something. That's the real danger. And you may not ever find the body of that kid. And all it takes is that one tribe member to think that it's some spirit, or you might hear something weird, whoever knows. I think it's, I don't want to talk about Tate too much, but Tate has that great bit about, a controversial bit about depression isn't real, because if you go into because based on what you believe,
Andrew Tate is controversial, right?
This one people really take offence at because, talk about depression. But he says where if someone were to go, you've got two people going into a haunted house. Well, going into a house, a supposed haunted house. One believes in ghosts, one doesn't. They both hear the same knock, crash at 2 a.m. The guy who believes in ghosts thinks it's a ghost, gets the fuck out of there. The guy who doesn't believe in ghosts just thinks someone's knocked something over, goes back to sleep. So I won't talk about the depression bit because I don't necessarily agree with it, but
no, me neither.
Rogan, I was on the way in today, I was listening to Rogan and Matt Rife, and they were talking about ghosts because apparently Matt Rife has done some paranormal, supernatural program where they're going ghost hunting, that old tired routine. And it is Rogan really obviously being very skeptical about all those sorts of things. Just comes at it with, if you go into these situations expecting something, you're more likely to see something. You're more likely to believe that that's happening. Then the person
And
who believes in ghosts
think
and the window crashes.
yeah,
It's a ghost.
people think that sightings mean reality.
Yeah.
Where in reality, like I have a purple set of lights behind me. We turn them on halfway through the show, right? And I think it's purple. You think it's purple. We don't know we're seeing the same color, right? We just know there is a color that we identify as purple.
Yeah.
We get light that goes through our eyes. Our brain will make up a reality. So how I actually look to me might not be how I look to you. So in that same sense of like, if anyone's taken LSD, are very aware that you can see things that aren't real. And if people think that your brain can't do that without these substances, of course it can. Of course it can. Have you seen recently that I'm happy to go off on this tangent for a bit, but have you seen recently this the famous Bigfoot sighting?
Okay. Yeah.
Have you seen that it's been AI enhanced?
Oh God.
And do you know what it shows it? Do you know what it shows it to be?
Go on.
A man in a gorilla outfit walking through the woods. It's really clearly shows you. It's a man that's obviously come back from a party, walking the woods, and you can see it because he's just walking like a human. He looks out at the camera and goes, "Oh God!" And then and the AI in hand, and we'll see these. But we still have it. We have people that now there is the biggest and most expensive Loch Ness excavation in history going on at the moment. If I'm right in writing that,
wow.
And I'm like, no creature that size. It's deep, don't get me wrong, it would fit there. But one, it would be more often seen, and two, not in cold water. But like people still believe in Nessie, and it makes great tourism. But I'm one of these people. I'm a reluctant skeptic when it comes to. I'd love ghosts to be true. Like, there's this show a bit on BBC at the moment about this woman who's had a near-death experience and she sees ghosts. It's a comedy show. It's fine. It's BBC fun. But I'm like, that seems like quite a nice thing. Like let's say I touch one of those. Let's say I died in here, and then everyone else that died in here is wandering around this house. And like, there's a sergeant from the military. There's the Boy Scout leader with an arrow in his neck, and I'm like, this sounds interesting.
Yeah,
like. That's much better than the atheist view of existence. Like I'd much rather be superstitious and a ghost believer, for sure. Like, did I ever tell you about my client's story?
Don't think so.
Yeah, my client is a hotel in Hong Kong called the Tayo Heritage Hotel. It's a really old, very expensive hotel in a place called Tayo, where it's a fishing village where houses are on stilts, and it's got this really nice hotel.
Okay, yeah.
And it was supposed to be a very haunted hotel, and we've told some stories, and he generally felt he was pinned down and he had to wrestle somebody off him.
Wow.
And he went to complain, and he was looking around the room and no one was there. So it wasn't just a sighting, he felt physically pinned down.
I have a good friend who also has had the majority of strange sightings, UFO and ghost-wise. Apparently runs in his family as well. So maybe there is a chemical balance thing going on there. I don't know.
Yeah, but doesn't that suggest that it's not true?
Well, as in it would suggest it's not true, but also suggest, are they the people that develop the ability to see these things? Maybe.
But then you go another layer of skepticism there that if there's an alien spacecraft, they've developed the ability to select random people on Earth that can see them. That just seems even further afield.
Yeah, and it then falls apart when you look at the witness testimony when more than one person's seen said thing. But he suffers from, or used to suffer from, really bad sleep paralysis. So he would wake up and he's awake and he cannot move. There's physically the sensation of him being held down. Some people just get that sensation. Some people get an extra element of dread mixed in with this as well. He would always have this mad feeling that something's holding him down, but something's going to come through the door as well. He always found himself looking towards the door with an intense dread that something's doesn't know what, someone's about to come around the corner and get him. But maybe there is something in that. Maybe there is some physical environment, and I mean chemical balance within the body that does cause some sort of sensation that we only experience when we're being physically forced down. Obviously I'm talking bollocks at the same time. I have no basis in fact in this whatsoever. But maybe there are other explanations to it. If someone told me and they genuinely believe wholeheartedly that they were at that hotel and something physically grabbed them and wrestled them to the floor and held them down there, and they absolutely wholeheartedly believe it, who am I to say that didn't happen, right? This is something we're seeing largely with UFO sightings. It's some people we'll never know who actually saw what, right? But some people are very convicted in their beliefs of what they saw. So there's people that really, really believe that what they're saying is true. Like, that's an internal belief in there. They're not just saying something for a quick reaction or a bug. You can tell the ones who are like, Matt, they really mean this, that they saw that. And who are we to say no? They didn't.
I think that's an interesting place to call it, and I think we'll definitely have to do another one of these at some point. Yes, like a real off-topic one. Maybe we'll do that. We do the episode we spoke about. We're doing it whilst we're ghost hunting. Like, do an episode in a haunted house with a couple of mics.
Hell yeah. We'll definitely see some ghosts.
Yeah. I mean, you just know that if we do this, we are not allowed to say the date that we're going to do it, because someone will just dress up in a Michael Myers mask and come and freak us out on purpose.
Of course, and then there will be a death.
Yeah, probably the person dressed as Michael Myers, because we'll
first live death on podcast.
Yeah. So for people who want to go and get your ebooks and learn about how to get so much testosterone that if any ghost comes and attacks you, you can hit them with your dick. Like, where can people find these books?
There is one proven way to fight off ghosts. I think that's in the Bible.
You stake him with the heart. You stake him with the heart with your dick. That's how he's the right?
They said wood has to be wood. Yeah, you can find me most actively Fat Loss Fastlane on whatever social media channel, where I'll be talking a hell of a lot more about men's health, men's hormones, testosterone, longevity as well. And I'm not going to tell you to stick anything up your ass. I guarantee you now. If I tell you at any point stick anything up your ass, feel free to ask for a refund. Although, let me caveat by saying there is one thing in the erectile dysfunction book about prostate stimulation and ED. So, if you read that bit, it doesn't mean you get any money back. But yeah, this is what I want to do now.
So fast lane. And for anyone, again, if you've listened this far, like, subscribe, YouTube, share your favorite episodes. By this point, this one goes live. Coaching Confidence will be officially live, the new upgraded, new and improved. And Rob's seen the site. He knows it's new and improved. Self-made university course. So if you're interested in that and learning from me, I might get you to stick some of your ass. I can't promise anything. Then drop me a message at Kingsley Dutton on Instagram. Rob, pleasure as always, man.
Thank you, my man.